Yo guys, it's your favorite DJ Steve Bruder back at it again. Another video. You know who it is. Let's go. It's that time now. Like and subscribe. Let's go. Hey guys, Gingi here, and in today's video I will walk you through a Halls of Atonement MDI time trial run that we did in under 12 minutes. So I'll show you guys exactly what it takes in order to do a plus 18 Tyrannical key in under 12 minutes. So here's the route. I'll make sure to post the paste bin for it in case you want to try it out yourself in the description below. Now let's get into the video and let's try and go step by step as to how we managed to pull this off. So here we start off. These are the talent choices. This is a little bit of an outdated picture. Obviously, I would go all the way down here. It's kind of like it's not really an impactful defensive talent, but you play Corian here in my case. These are the talent choices I use. I try to play Ring of Frost in the dungeons where we need it. It does give some good control in some keys, or it's nice for a certain stack up. It's also nice in explosive dungeons in case you want to stack up stuff, and obviously it takes some time to stack everything up. But then you can put a Ring of Frost in the location where you want to do your pull, and then there's just going to be a little bit of pre-CC on the mobs before you start attacking it, just minimizing the amount of explosives that will spawn. That's something I did in the other side, which is another video I will be going over in one of the next ones. Ice Ward, generally I play that, especially for the Spiteful Affix. It's really nice to use, but here I just played Frantic Speed. Of course, Flame Patch and Kindling and Searing Touch, Shimmer, Rune of Power. That's kind of like always the talent choices that you want to use. Now let's hop into the video, shall we? So we start off with a huge, humongous pull. Here, one thing to notice as well in the beginning is that if you walk forward here, you will start the patrol timing of the two mobs that's coming running for you right here. So what we do is that we make sure that we don't walk forward, because you can see the two guys coming here walking for you. If you step forward, they would have done that beforehand, and they would be right in our face. So the reason why we want to do this is because we don't want to do these mobs. We're gonna throw an Imprison, which is a true CC from our Vengeance Demon Hunter, and then we can just walk through him without engaging in combat. You can see here the Imprison going out, and we're just taking a nice stroll to the left. Now here, we're gonna pull this shot of Halkias, and what you can do is that you can pull this without pulling these two. So you can notice here that the tank is putting a sigil now in order to pull it, and he's doing that pretty late, and that way they're gonna patrol down here without pulling the remaining mobs. We obviously assign kicks. Me and Jimmy here run this Obliterator, double kicking him in, otherwise he's gonna be outside. Notice that I pulled the stoneborn early. We're not gonna take over the stoneborn yet. So something you have to worry about here, this is also a pull with Lust and DPS potion. We have actually both our Paladin and our Shadow Priest, since we're not going to use Shadow on this dungeon, they're actually using the Dark Iron Dwarf. So they're stone forming certain abilities off, like the Curse especially. Since there's a lot of Curse spells going off, obviously I'm limited to dispelling once. But you actually do get a damage increase in case you use the Dark Iron Dwarf stone form, and then you dispel a certain ability, and it's really, really good for this dungeon because they can purposely not get dispelled by me, and we can both mitigate the damage and give them a DPS increase. So here we go in, we lost DPS pot, everything, double shot of Halkias, use my auto time, my combustion, and everything just ends up melting, right? And notice that the one thing you need to notice here, very important on this pull, if you look at the stoneborn, it's about to be taken over in just a second. See here, boom, 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 before it dies. Can't even see it for all the nameplates. But what we do here is that we are taking over the stoneborn when it's sub 30%. That way it will be raging. So look in just a second how fast this Pride is gonna die. Okay, this is all the work of the raging stoneborn, and it's just absolutely crazy what's going on here. Like, look, it's just absolutely melting. So it's so fucking insane. We are 27.1% count in, and we have just reached the 55-second mark. Absolutely insane. Just so crazy. Obviously, this is a pull where everyone uses all the cooldowns. Like you look at the Holy Paladin damage as well, utilizing those wings and Ashen Hallow, just absolutely crazy. So here we're doing another little breather. I think try to fish a little bit for some combustion, cooldown reduction there. Now I usually want to try and aim for like 13-14 seconds left on it and try and pair it up with my shifting power. So I'm good here. Now everyone needs to line of sight. I think I'm gonna block this. Yeah, exactly. So the reason why I blocked that, okay, that was just a small thing. I don't really need my block. I know there's gonna be upcoming curses, and they don't have stone form, and I'm the only curses spell. So in this case, I just blocked it. It's just gonna mean that I can curse the spell G instead and just reduce the amount of damage taken. So here to get the combustion out. My trinket coming a little late. So this is like literally on the mark. You can even see that I still have some seconds left on my combustion. We cannot go faster than this, otherwise we'd just be behind on cooldowns. So this is the one pride where we're not using any stoneborns, because we wanted this pride to take a little bit longer in order to get some cooldown reduction as well from the combustion here. So this is just, you know, I see the Night Fae coming out from the Shadow Priest, the cooldown reduction here, which is needed for me in order to get the combustion back for next pull. So this is just like a little nice breather, you know, just getting our cooldowns back in order to be able to do the next pull. And here we're not gonna take the stoneborn in the beginning, we're gonna use it for the pride again. I always kick this guy, and notice that I do it very late. I wanna be able to have him, I always kick like very late in order to silence him, boom. And it's gonna run all the way into the pull. So I'm just assigned longest logout. The curses spell and the bolt is actually on 2 different logouts, which is actually really, really annoying. So here at Dragon's Breath, like, okay, so something you have to watch out for on these pulls is, of course, the Houndmaster doing the rapid fires, and they're shooting random targets that can obviously kill you. You have the Collectors who's doing the sins. You can see at Dragon's Breath that to minimize the amount of animated sins response. And you have the Darkblade, which is doing his frontal cleave. So there's a couple mechanics to watch out for here. The Collector also does apply a debuff called Siphon Life. That's a healer dispel. In case you have a curse dispeller, like let's say you have a mage in the group, but you also have a curse dispeller like a Resto Druid, then what the best way to do is to have the Resto Druid hold his dispel for the Siphon Life, and instead save the curse spells for the mage instead. Because the Siphon Life cannot be dispelled by the mage, it can by healer, and it just does a fuck ton of damage. So, you know, on every pull, I make sure to utilize my altar time as best as possible. I'm saving my mirror image here because I want to have it for the first boss and not for this pull. So every time I go into a pull, it's pretty nice to just do the altar time, especially just to, you know, you're gonna take a lot of damage from the thrash, maybe some random shots. So just make sure you altar time at high HP, and your healer's gonna love you. So here we're just melting everything. Make sure that we prioritize hitting the Halkias, because killing this Halkias is going to speed up the time it's going to take for the first boss to get active. So he should always be main target here. Here you can see they're raging. I Dragon's Breath some cast and some frontals, and I kick the bolt. Make sure to try and use your control in order to stop certain mechanics, especially when they're raging, right? So that's why, you know, throw a DB out, throw a counter spell, do your best in order to reduce the damage taken. So they're raging. Robin like now can't tank it, so instead he ran over and he pulled the stoneborn. You can see the life grip coming out, so that's why the stoneborn is coming now. We're gonna see our Death Knight gonna take it over with the Venthyr ability. And again, what you could do here, and what we tried to do, is that we took the stoneborn in and did similar thing as we did on the first pull, where it was just in the pull and we took it over when it was raging. Now what happened there is that, yeah, this pride died too fast. There is a thing such as being too fast when you're doing these speedruns, because if we end up killing this guy, as you can see, we have 9 seconds on the Night Fae ability, we have 40 seconds on the combustion, and if he ended up dying too quick, we just didn't have cooldowns. Like we cannot do the next pull, which is coming up in just a second. Now notice this Houndsmaster here. I'm going to be polymorphing him because we don't want them in on pull, because he's gonna pretty much be the last remaining mob that is needed in order to proc the Pride. And we don't want to have the Pride too early on this boss, so we're gonna break the CC later and get him in just a second. Me and Maris, we are gonna be kicking the Obliterator to get him in. So again, we're assigned to different targets, who kicks what, who grips what, in order to stack everything up nice and clean. You can see the silence coming out, the counter spell. I get the PI and the Night Fae. You can see I have 3 seconds left of the combustion, so it's literally just on time. I dispel once on Jeev, and then we're just about to go ham, and you can just see this pull is just gonna be absolutely melted. And it's gonna leave us just short of 80% count. Look at the double Stoneborn, 23% and 27%. And now you're gonna see us take them over, boom, and you're gonna notice that the boss is just gonna absolutely melt. We have 2 loyal Stoneborns taking over from my DK, and they're both raging. So they're literally doing 100% increased damage. So this is the same damage as if you would have 4 normal Stoneborns. And as a result of that, well, the boss is already 30%. So you can also see we broke the CC from the Houndsmaster, and he's gonna get cleaved. And the Stoneborn is also passively cleaving him using their breath ability, and killing this Houndsmaster is gonna prog up Pride. So that's also why we CC'd him in the beginning, since getting the Pride instantly in pull would just be too hard. And you know, as you can see here, it's perfect. Constant uptime, the boss dies, the Pride spawns. Like it just looks so good and clean. I throw out my combustion here. I'm gonna get my Night Fae cooldown reduction from the Shadow Priest in just 10 seconds. And here we actually were too quick. So I think it's being called now that we're too fast. Notice that I'm blinking away because I don't want to hit him with my shifting power. Okay, so what happened is that the reason why we're waiting here and why we're too quick, this is something that didn't really happen before, but our priest and our paladin are dark elven dwarfs. The rest of us are night elves, so doesn't really matter for us. So we're about to do a skip in just a second, and they need to use the invisibility potion. Now they used the PS pot in the first pull, which was normally fine, but because we're too quick, they didn't have their potions ready. And the reason why we don't want to kill him too fast is, of course, if we kill him too fast, we're just wasting Pride uptime, right? We want to have as much uptime on the next boss as possible, so that's why I want to kill him, when the pot is ready. That's why we stopped DPS a little bit and why I blinked out and tried to not hit him. So instead of killing him, I'm just trying to fish from crits, make sure I have my combustion ready for the next pull. So here's where we're going to be doing the Shadow Melt skip and the invisibility. You can see the Invis horse coming up on the Paladin and the Priest invising here. We're going to throw out a Fierce Sigil from the tank. So the Eviscerators is something that, if in case you want to do the Shadow Melt skip, you need to CC these. These cannot be loose. They're going to be teleporting you, slowing you. They're super annoying mobs. They even hit targets in Invis or Stealth. They don't care. So that's one of the reasons why it's super important that we do it, especially in this count, because there's a chance if this Eviscerator is loose, he will just break out the Invis from a Paladin and Priest, which would end up in a failed skip. The Reaver is not CCable, so watch out in case, don't run in front of this guy, because he will do a frontal cleave and it will pretty much kill you. So watch out for that. You can watch for the animation as well. So here we go, double blink, soul shape, and then Shadow Melt. Now Echelon, of course, is pretty simple boss, but there's some things you can do to optimize. You can see I get the power infusion here, and we're just blasting the Stone Call, of course, the ads. You can do a lot of things to just reduce the damage taking from these mobs. They also explode when they die, so you can, most cases, alter time and then alter back up. But in case you don't have damage and they're going to be alive for long, try and rotate stuff like stuns, AoE silence, Vortex Typhoon if you're a druid, Dragon Spear. Just do some stop, disorients, interrupts, just try and stop the bolts, because the higher key you do, the more damage they actually do. Now, one of the things that you can optimize on this boss is, of course, the Curse of Stone. Now, obviously I'm a Curse Speller and the only Curse Speller in the group, but we do have 2 Dark Iron Dwarfs, so we can also utilize the Stone form in order for them to break them themselves, as well as immunities. So what I do, you can see here, I usually always dispel the target that gets targeted by the stone shattering leap. You can see this is fragments because I want to be able to, so everyone can pre-move out of the circle, while the guy with the stone shattering leap, he wants to try and hit all of the ads in order to break them so they don't respawn. And if I don't dispel the guy with the stone shattering leap, he wouldn't be able to get out of the circle, and he would take a debuff and take damage, right? He's the only guy that wants to be in here around the ads. And then you can see in just a second, he's gonna use his Door of Shadows. So you notice that I use the Ice Block because I just want to have uptime. I see that my DK has used his pre-AMS, like he pre-AMS'd it, so he didn't get it applied. So, I think, wait, what happened here? Let's see exactly, so we can dissect it step by step. Curse of Stone goes out, pre-AMS, it goes on Fragments. Maris uses his Stone Form, I use my Ice Block. I was about to dispel Maris, but I noticed that he's Stone Formed, so I gave it to Robin instead. And if you look at the damage on the damage meter, that is kind of like the priority system, right? In case we had a free dispel, I would give it to Jimmy. Jimmy is obviously his top DPS during cooldowns. Maris is the top DPS when no one has cooldowns. He has the most steady DPS. And then it will be Robin or Jeev in case Jeev had his CDs up. So here we go. We have 4 people not getting stunned and 1 person, Jeev, getting stunned, right? And that's just going to increase the overall DPS. And obviously that's something you want to do in the beginning when you have cooldowns rolling and when you have the pride buff, right? You want to try and have as much uptime on Echelon as possible with pride buff up. So that's like a really, really good way of playing this boss. Try to reduce the amount of curses going out. Whereas, and as a mage in this case, you can see I'm gonna be dispelling the person that gets the Curse of Stone here, which is Maris. Boom, he gets it. Look here. And he's just gonna outrun it, and no damage has been taken, no debuff has been applied. That's why you always want to try and dispel the person with the Curse of Stone, and don't try and do a selfish dispel. Especially not when you do hierarchies. You need to prioritize survivability. So here my shifting power is gonna come up. This shifting power is actually because we ended up being too quick. This boss just died again. I keep saying it, but just too quick. But I need to use the shifting power, which means that the AoE pull on the next boss is gonna be a little bit like it's not gonna be the greatest combustion. It's gonna be a combustion without shifting power. But this is just how I had to do it. It's kind of sad that my next AoE combustion doesn't go into shifting power, but it's still enough. We have enough damage. This is just the way I had to do it. Otherwise, I would lose out on the combust, and that's just not worth it. So here I get it. I dispel myself. I blink out. I don't get hit, and all of the ads obviously gets cleaved, and they will not respawn. Nice and easy. So that was Echelon, Tyrannical 18. He ended up dying in 1 minute and 44 seconds, as you can see on the combat timer. Now we're gonna do all of this trash and drag it up to the next boss. Now we're doing a little bit of some fancy thing here. You can see that we're getting the Loyal Stoneborn on pull. We're gonna do the same thing as we did. We're gonna get him down to raging, and we're gonna take him over when he's raging. Notice that we only got 1 and not double, and I'll get back to why we did that in just a second. So here, we're about to throw out the combustion. On this pull, I mean, the important thing is that you kick the boss, especially on the volley. That's super, super important. That's going to be the highest damage taken from the group as a whole. And you obviously want to try and help the tank as much as possible. You can see double rapid fire going out. There's a lot of passive damage. You can see the grip came out and interrupted it. See Robin in just a second. I'm trying to clean up the ads. And I believe the Houndsmasters as well. The one thing that is very, very dangerous. You can see double raging rapid fire with DB and Hutch one just to stop that. That's also scary if you stand at that under raging, especially if it's 2. But the Houndsmasters also cast an ability that empowers the Gargons. Now that is something that you definitely want to stop because it's going to increase the Gargons damage by a lot. So you can DB that, stop that, stun that somehow, whatever you have in your toolkit to avoid it. And it's just super, super important that they don't become empowered, especially not in raging, because it's going to one-shot your tank. So a lot of emphasis on that. But again, kick the volley, boom. So in terms of priority system, what I do with the kicks is that Fragrance is number 1 prio, he gets runic power. Second prio is Now, he gets Fury. And then third prio in terms of kicks would be Maris, because he's Zenaya and he gets the poison debuff application on the boss. So that's kind of like the priority system in terms of kicks. And now we're just going to be covering all of them, both the volley and the blast. So here at around 55% is when we're going to get in the next stoneborn. That's around the percentage that we found out that is like the sweet spot for where the stoneborn would get passively cleaved down to 30% by the time the boss is dead. Exactly, we're not going to use this stoneborn for this boss. Instead, what we are going to do is that we're going to use this raging stoneborn for the next mini boss that's going to come up in the next area. So that's a little nice way in order to, you know, like as you guys might know, when you go into the next boss room, people have to kill all the small lads in the corner. The mini boss is gonna heal repeatedly, but doing it this way allows us to actually not commit super many offensive cooldowns. We're only gonna commit the combustion, and we're even gonna save the power infusion, and we're still gonna manage to make DPS check. So you can see here, our DK is gonna take over the stoneborn. It's now enraging, and you'll see that it will just magically snap like that, boom. It just teleports. Really, really nice. So now you have a raging stoneborn that does 100% increased damage, absolutely destroying this mini boss. So the only thing I get here is the Night Fae. We're gonna hold on onto the PI because the dungeon is not. It's pretty much 2 minutes from here until the dungeon is finished. So you're not losing out on a PI by saving this one, but we're actually gonna get a PI overlap with the Bloodlust as well as Prideful buff. So it was more efficient to hold the power infusion in this case and then use it for the boss instead. So here we're gonna be getting the Pride a little bit lower. I think we're gonna go after the next debuff, and we're just gonna try and kill this Pride off and cleave it a little bit with the boss. Now this boss is pretty, I mean, there's no real incoming damage on any player. It's only tank damage, right? So as long as you're just careful, because there's one thing that can be a pretty hard overlap, and that would be the Pride buff shooting out, as well as you having to dodge your statue. That would be the two things that would be, you know, obviously a dangerous overlap in case you had to dodge, and maybe you had the Pride buff, and then you would dodge, and then you would snipe someone with that. So we kill off the Pride. I hold my combustion and the Bloodlust and everything for when the Pride is dead, of course, to get more damage increase in your cooldowns. I pop my mirror images before for the damage reduction on the Pride. And now we're just lusting. I get the PI, and we're just, look how fast this boss dies. We actually didn't have Ashen Hallow. We only have Wings. So we're not gonna see the huge Holy Paladin damage here as you normally would have, but that's just another case of it just not lining up and we just being fast. But nonetheless, still an overall really, really good run. This is the best run that we ended up doing. And, you know, again, utilizing the Night Fae ability as well. And it's just crazy. Like, I'm getting 2 combustions on this boss fight, and I'm getting 2 combustions in Pride. You can see here, the second combustion comes out, and there's still 15 seconds left of Pride, which means that I got 2 combustions in a Pride window, and that's just the power of the you know, the Night Fae Priest, and that's why it synergizes so well with the Mage. It just allows you to get, again, you know, I had to do it, of course. In this case, you can see here, because I got my combustion back so fast, it was not, my badge was not ready. But of course, I'd rather pump out a combustion in a Pride buff than with a badge. So here my badge comes up the last couple seconds of the fight, couple seconds left of the Rune of Power, and you know, and you just see there, the Rune of Power goes out, the boss dies, I'm completely dry, every single cooldown has been used, and I squeezed out as much damage as I possibly could. And as a result of that, across the whole team, 11 minutes and 53 seconds and 937 milliseconds to be exact. So that was the run dissected into bits by bit from my POV. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I think this was a really, really good run. I'm proud of this one. And I hope you enjoyed it as well. Maybe learned a little bit from it. And yeah, I mean, guys, thank you so much for watching. And I hope to see you in the next video. Have a good one.
Lock and load. Let me hear you say!